Spoilers incoming. Let's talk a little bit about the movie. Let's talk a little bit about Interstellar. For me, it was a good movie, like I said earlier. I enjoyed it. But some parts were a little bit weird. So the first half of the film is like really, well, not the first half, the first third. It's really solidifying he's this father. They lost their mother in this tragic way. He's a salt of the earth farmer, but he's never meant to be it because he was this celebrated astronaut that took a crash, I guess, kind of, maybe. He wakes up from nightmares of it. But what was the crash? Did anyone die? Did that end his career? A lot of that's implied. And I can get on board with that. That's okay with me. Like, the fact that the world's ending with this blight never really gets flushed out. It seems to be growing in intensity, right? First it was other crops, and then finally it's only corn, but corn is going to go as well. Okay, you don't have to explain all those things for me. I actually really like the plot device of having just the immersion of just being like, "Hip, this is with the scenario. It is what it is. We're not interested in why it's happening. It just is happening. Deal with it." That's okay with me. But the kind of root issue with this was the initial, like, he's such an important father, and they get led to this NASA camp, and they're like, "Yeah, we need a pilot." And he's like, "Well, you didn't even know I was alive 5 minutes ago." And they're like, "No, we didn't. But we need a pilot." And he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." I'm like, "Great." And then the whole sequence of, like, his daughter will not let go of the fact that he's leaving. Okay, that makes sense. That's upsetting. But then they actually draw it out over the course of like 30 years. When he's up in outer space, she's pissed off at him. It took her 20 years to even see a video to say hi to him. That's a huge reach for me. I'm sorry, I'm not a little girl, and I'm not a father leaving my little girl, so I guess I don't actually know this subject intimately. But for me, as a movie viewer, I didn't feel the weight of that at all. I'm sorry, there was no call for that level of, like, "I hate you, Dad, and now I'm never going to talk to you again. How dare you go off and save the planet?" So it was from that, the emotional tension, like, never really grabbed me. He sees these videos of his kids getting older, his father-in-law dying. He's sitting there, he's crying into the webcam. I wanted to feel emotional with that scene, but I didn't. It was a cool scene, and it's well acted. Don't get me wrong, but for me, it was not a tearjerker. I wasn't looking at it like, "Man, this is really heavy stuff." It was just kind of like okay, whatever's going on. So I'd be interested to hear if you had the same experience. Moving forward, the armchair, like, pseudoscience stuff going on, I thought was really interesting, but it also lost me at parts. So, like, let's talk about the black hole in general. I liked the explanation for the wormhole. We've had that before. It goes back to Donnie Darko. Like, that kind of stuff has been explored in movie mediums, and I enjoy it every time. That part I could wrap my head around. Okay, great. Let's talk about black holes. We know nothing about black holes. Okay, that's true. We really don't know that much about black holes at all. But then in the movie, whenever you should always be cautionary whenever you hear someone say, "We don't know that much about that thing," because usually that means that thing becomes the answer to whatever, and that's what that black hole was. At the end of the movie, it's like, "Well, we got to go inside it. We have to see the singularity. But if we do, we'll die." Well, this one's a gentle one. What's that mean? Well, it means I guess you could make it. Oh, we can make it? Cool. Yeah, we go through it. They go through the black hole, and it turns out that it brings them in. It travels them through the fifth dimension into a place where beings, potentially the humans themselves, made this third-dimensional realm inside of the fifth dimension, and from there they could communicate to specifically his daughter, who then saves the entire planet. Okay, so how do we arrive at that? Well, we arrive at that from a really weird conversation earlier by the female scientist. Her name's eluding me. It's the other main actress, the co-star. Anyways, she just is like, in an offhand argumentative conversation an hour earlier, she's like, "Well, I traveled across the universe to see this scientist who we also didn't allude to at any time at all, and apparently I love him on this other planet that I want to go to because I love him. But I want to see him. I've traveled across, a decade in a universe through a wormhole, so maybe love is the only thing that can travel through time and space." It seems childish. It seems like a throwaway, weird argument. None of them, like, have an epiphany or anything like that. It's just kind of said. And then later in the movie, that conversation, that point, is used as a plot device for the audience to then accept that, yes, going through that black hole did in fact transport them, I guess, to this fifth dimension, where potentially humans from the future built a third dimension inside the fifth dimension to communicate to their loved ones. Those are some of the connections that are kinda, sorta made inside of that moment. And to me, that's cheap and dumb. It was really dumb. Not only is there holes all over this, and not only, and you know, again, like I said, it just, the entire sequence of events anyways is tenuously attached, but also weakly attached. We then arrive at it based on the assumption that that was correct. This thing she just offhand says. She doesn't say like famous philosophers track this through time. We recently made a discovery that this is possible. Emotional driven stuff has had scientific connection to, you know, to actually travel. It can have like a sentient, whatever, something. I'm throwing just big words out at this point in time. No, it just was. She just, it reminded me of Independence Day, when he's just like, you know, Geoff, he's like virus, flu, virus will bring down the shields will bring down the ships. We can insert it, and then bring down the ships. Like that whole, he just picked out random words and attached like other things to him, connected him, and then that was how the entire problem was solved. So if I'm way off base, please let me know in the comments, and I'm sure I am. Like I said, I didn't understand it. It was really weird to me. And that was it didn't like ruin the movie for me at all, but that was the big finish. That was the big, there weren't these other beings communicating. It was probably Matthew McConaughey from the future. He at some point in time, or not even him, the humanity made a third dimension within the fifth dimension, so that when he went through the black hole and you know, went over the horizon, he would then fall into this created reality inside of this dimension to communicate to his daughter from the past how to solve the problem and fix the world. So many strange things going on there, and it's not even like Inception strange, where I like need to go to a Wikipedia and read up on this from really smart people that have pieced it all together. I hope it is. I mean, maybe that is the case, but to me it was just kind of silly. So anyways, that's the spoilery. The other thing I have here too is like the contrived tension with brother and sister at the end. The whole like race against the clock was because they tricked the brother to go out into the cornfields that they set on fire, and when he comes back, he beats them up, he kills them. That stops her from solving the problems of the entire world. That was tenuous at best as well, because what ends up happening is she does, just in the nick of time, receive the message in her watch, and then she goes outside and says, "Dad's gonna save us. He was the ghost the whole time." And the brother accepts it. It doesn't like show him accept it, but he just kind of like, huh? And then she hugs him, and he just has a blank look on his face. That's not... Nobody's at the edge of their seat. There's no sweat dripping off their brow. There's nobody that's like super concerned that the entire universe is gonna die. It was just kind of weird. It was like you accepted it as it was happening because it was like logical in its sequence of events, but as far as what it did as a moment in time for the movie, you're like, wait a second. Did the whole world get saved because they tricked him by setting his corn on fire, and then they just barely avoided him beating them up because they were trying to steal his family away from the asthmatic farm? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's super tense. Anyways. So yeah, that's the spoiler part, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be seeing a Big Hero 6 fairly soon. It's getting really high reviews, and I've actually had my eye on that since the very first moment I saw its preview 6 months ago. I think it looks hilarious, and I'll keep these coming. So as always, just let me know in the comment section what you think. This one was a little bit long, I know. That's because I had a lot to say about it. I tried to say it really fast, but I'm a wordy guy, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So thanks again. Make sure and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. Take a look at future videos, and I will see you guys on the interwebs. See ya.